Walmart is closing half of its stores in the third largest city in the United States. Got 8 stores in Chicago. We're cutting them down this month to 4. They've spent millions of dollars trying to keep these stores afloat. No can do. Are they coming right out and saying, hey, this is all about shoplifting? No. What are they saying? Let's get into it. Let's find out what we've got going on with Walmart and Chicago. So Walmart abandons unprofitable Chicago stores after investing hundreds of millions in the city. After 2 decades of losses and hundreds of millions of dollars invested in Chicago, Walmart is shuttering 4 unprofitable stores out of 8 in the metropolitan area, reducing its store footprint by half in the crime-ridden city. Here's the explanation from corporate. The simplest explanation is that collectively our Chicago stores have not been profitable since we opened the first one nearly 17 years ago. These stores lose tens of millions of dollars a year, and their annual losses nearly doubled in just the last 5 years, Walmart wrote in a press release. How do you have your losses double? You know, you've got your costs. Yeah, your costs of goods go up. Yeah, you raise your prices a little bit. Have your taxes gone up that much? You know, do we own these buildings? What do we got going on? To have something as drastic as losses double in 5 years, that means you've got massive amounts of your inventory heading out that front door, right? Or the side door, any which door but the bottom line of profit. You got no profit. There's no profit. There's so much shoplifting, so much organized retail theft in a city like Chicago and in many others. But when corporate has to sit down and look at all the spreadsheets and all the different stores, however they array the data, they go through that and they go, oh man, we got to close that one down. Oh geez, that one is bleeding out some money. And it's been 17 years and they haven't made a profit. That is wild. Been not been profitable since we opened the first one 17 years ago. Indeed, Walmart has soured on Chicago, the Democratic stronghold that went from a once beautiful metro area into an absolute hellhole. According to Walmart, the decision came after considerable investment in the town. So, Walmart's kind of backing up what they're doing. They're saying, hey, we gave this a solid college try for 17 years, and we still can't make it. What's so wild about this is that they're not coming right out and saying, hey, it's shoplifting. They're saying it's not profitable, because if you came right out and said, you got people stealing from our stores all the time, therefore we're going to shut it down in your community. If you percentage-wise looked at where all of these stores are located, yeah, that might be problematic to explain. So I also found it. I've been on a Walmart run. If you've been following this channel, I've been on a Walmart run, a Walgreens run, CVS, so many of these stores. What I've been covering are the stores that are still solvent, because we're in a retail apocalypse, right? You've just got this. Retail stores have this massive headwind of Amazon and the way people kind of changed up their whole shopping deal. And this has been coming for a long time. So you've got a lot of chains of stores, Bed Bath & Beyond, for instance, Victoria's Secret. You've got stores that are having a really tough time. Some of them are going out Tuesday morning. They're closing all their stores. But I've been focusing on the stores that are remaining open, that with the retail apocalypse, they are making changes, and Walmart has been a massive one making some changes. But when you look at the demographics of where they're making those changes, more often than not, they are located in Democrat-run cities that had the whole, let's defund the police, greatest concept ever. I've been following those stories. Companies that are solvent but are looking to stop the bleeding and wherever they are. And Walmart in Chicago, this is a big story. This is a big deal. Close down 4 Walmarts, just whoosh, boom, like that. And that kind of tells you something, right? That tells you something. Now, we've known that Chicago is they're inundated with crime. And, That's what they get. When you vote in people that don't have public safety at heart, when public safety isn't even on, their checklist of things to, do during their time in office, this is what you get. And Chicago just had a mayoral race. They had elections for their mayor, and their previous Mayor Lori Lightfoot, which, we refer to her as Beetlejuice, she didn't get reelected. She's the first mayor, I think, in a big city like that in like 40 something years that didn't get reelection because she did such a piss poor job. Crime rose. Crime just exploded under her leadership. And now you've got the next mayor. You had the option of somebody endorsed by the teachers union. That's the mayor you've got for Chicago. The other option was somebody who was endorsed by the police, guild, the police union. Citizens of Chicago didn't go with that individual. So this is what they get. This is what Chicago gets. Chicago, this is what you voted in. These are the end results of the politicians that you are choosing to go with. And the politicians are bringing in policy that whole defund the police. Now you've got a situation where shoplifting and organized retail theft, granted, those things have happened in elevated numbers in other cities too. Some cities that are, run by Republicans. You've got that is happening, but not at the rates that we're seeing right here. The level of stuff heading out the front door on the 5-finger discount. That is, reading between the lines, that is what you've got going in these cities. In Chicago, one of my other hotspots lately has been San Francisco. San Francisco just stated we are closing a Whole Foods. Whole Foods said in San Francisco, we are closing a Whole Foods that they had just opened up 1 year ago. 1 year ago. So it wasn't a matter of, the store layout doesn't work for us. We're focusing on small stores. This one's a big one, whatever the excuse is. We got a lot of corporate excuses for why they're closing down certain stores. But at the end of the day, everybody knows, you've got a weak on crime policy. You've got defund the police. You've got criminal activity going all over. You got drugs. Drugs are the big driver of this. Drugs are the big driver. So people go in to Walmart, steal from Walmart because they got lots of goods that you can sell easily, get their next fix. So as long as you're tolerant of all that, and Chicago is, Portland is, San Francisco is, LA is, the whole West Coast is, right? Where we haven't covered a lot of stores closing is New York. They just kind of, and I think that's because they are such an urban environment. They've been dealing with this kind of stuff. Plus they got 1 million cops. You got 1 million cops in New York City. I don't know what the actual number is, but you just don't read numbers about, we're down so many numbers. That just never happened in New York City, right? Whereas in Chicago, they're literally saying, all this crime is happening because we don't have enough police in the police force. Well, why don't you have enough police in the police force? What happened? Did miraculous one day they just disappeared? Where'd they go? It's like, I'm sorry to hear about your loss when you're talking about, somebody. I've gotten a lot of that lately. And I'm like, I didn't lose my son. He's dead. He's not lost. And people say, well, how did you lose all your police? So you didn't lose them. They either quit or they retired or, they exit stage left somewhere, right? So, so corporate is stating, let's just read the corporate statement. Here's the Walmart announcement. Here's the other thing that I found really interesting about this is that it's been a wave. It's been this ongoing wave of announcements. They're not doing it all at once. They're spreading it out, which is beautiful for me because then I get a podcast every now and then. We went through a string of just, oh my gosh, they're closing down. Oh my word. They're closing down a Walgreens in Honolulu. It was just this. What happened in my mind, is that after the pandemic, okay, we're going to keep the store open. Okay. We're trying. Gosh darn it. And it was like at the end of Q1 of 2023, the rubber hit the road and corporate said, you got to close some of these stores up. They ain't making money. And moving forward, Doesn't seem like we're going to get more police. We're not in a city that is on the upswing of public safety. We're not in a city where things are getting better. Things are getting worse. And so they're having to make some choices. In Chicago, that could get a lot worse, because I think the new mayor of Chicago is going to be worse than Mayor Lori Lightfoot, worse than Beetlejuice, which I think is going to be difficult. But because she was so bad, she was so disengaged from what was going on. She just either didn't care or didn't know, or was just, I don't know. That whole thing to me was like, you're doing what? You're saying what? And she was so abrasive. And people thought, well, this is the kind of leadership we need in our city, as crime just explodes throughout Chicago. I mean, record numbers of murders and, gun violence. So here's corporate from Walmart and closure of 4. This was this morning. They released this. No, actually yesterday afternoon. Today, we have made the difficult decision to close 4 of our stores in Chicago. Decision to close a store is never easy. Or 4. The impact is greater than just closing a building. It affects people who work in, shop in, and live in communities near our stores who voted for this nonsense. You guys get what you voted for. Your stores are closing. Not going to have any stores left. How you like them apples? Does that make any sense to you? You're voting in this policy where you've got big corporate saying, we're not making any money. And, we got that little thing back there called shareholders. We need to provide a return for the shareholders. And we never take that lightly. Treating people and communities with respect and compassion during this transition will guide everything we do. Meanwhile, in their head, they're just saying, God, we can't get out of here fast enough. We cannot get out of here fast enough. Same thing at the Whole Foods in San Francisco. They closed down after a year, and they basically said, the thing I respect about Whole Foods, and I kind of respect, but they didn't have any options, because that was a recently built store. So you didn't have that ability to go with, well, store wasn't big enough, or it didn't have the right exits, or, the physical constraints of the store. We got to redo it. So we're going to close that store down, but hey, shop with us elsewhere. It was such a new store that all they could go with is, there's too much crime. Our employees aren't safe. Management isn't safe. Our customers aren't safe. We got a lot of nut jobs coming in that are just high as a kite, destroying things, people getting in fights, and shoplifting all day long, because you basically decriminalize drugs and you decriminalize crime. And so this is what happens. This is the perfect example of, here's your sign. You know what I mean? So for example, this is corporate. All associates in these stores are eligible to transfer to another Walmart location. All right. Yeah. Okay. And so they go on trying to, talk about how they're going to really take care of their employees. Well, they wouldn't have to do this if leadership in these cities, if the mayor of Chicago did their job and dropped the hammer on criminals, they wouldn't have to do this. This is the end result of lack of leadership. So having an active role in the community is especially important to us. We're proud of our neighborhood investments. They go on to talk about all their neighborhood investments. How did that work out? The Bud Billiken Day Parade, the Chicago Gives Back ML King Day. How did that all work out? I mean, what do you got going on here? You're shutting 4 stores down. So all of that all that investment, you just basically pissed that away. You literally pissed that away. In Walmart now, it's just like they're on the hot path to get the F out of Chicago, right? Hey, but you know what? We love you as a consumer. We know we're shutting down these 4 stores, but please continue to keep shopping in our other 4 stores in the area, or Walmart.com. We'll see you there. The simplest explanation is that collectively our Chicago stores have not been profitable since we opened the first ones nearly 17 years ago. So talked about that. Over the years, we've tried many different strategies to improve the business performance of these locations, including building smaller stores, localizing product assortment, and offering services beyond traditional retail. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the city, including $70 million in the last couple of years, to upgrade our stores and build 2 new Walmart health facilities and a Walmart Academy training center. And yet, the citizens of Chicago continue to steal from Walmart at record levels, and so the stores have to close down. So the press release goes on to say it was hoped that these investments would help improve our store's performance, yada, yada. Efforts have not materially improved the fundamental business challenges our stores are facing, which is rampant shoplifting. You got nut jobs walking around. You got people on drugs. You got all kinds of craziness. You got garbage all over. But basically, you just got people stealing a ton of crap, and the environment isn't safe. So corporate just said, yeah, closed. Community and city leaders have been open and supportive as we meet with them over the years to share these challenges, which is, hey, your citizens are whacked out on drugs and are stealing our stuff to the point where we need to close your store. So with that in mind, we have made the difficult decision to close these underperforming stores in Chicago. So yeah, we've got I'm not even going to read them. We got the Chatham Supercenter. We got the Kenwood neighborhood, Lakeview neighborhood, Little Village neighborhood market. And they're going to do something with the pharmacies, keep those open. They're going to work with local leaders. And they talk about what they're going to do for the employees. Well, those employees are, toast. Here we go. Talk a little bit more here. And there's a few. The remaining 4 Chicago stores continue to face the same business difficulties, but we think this decision gives us the best chance to help keep them open and serving the community. And then they go on to talk about that it's never easy. And towards the bottom here, the 4 Chicago stores are the latest in a string of closures the nation's largest retailer has announced recently. In December, CEO Doug McMillon warned that stores were not meeting financial expectations and that an increase in thefts could force the retailer to either raise prices or close stores if the problem continued. Theft is an issue. It's higher than what it's historically been, he told CNBC's Squawk Box. So even though they haven't come right out and said that these are due to shoplifting, what they're doing corporate speak. They're saying, hey, you know what? It's a profitability thing. So, we've invested millions, we've tried to make this work, and we try different things, but when a big percentage of your profits is literally walking out the front door due to the 5-finger discount, let's call it what it is. Shoplifting is closing your stores. So citizens of Chicago, I hope you're happy. But you know what? What's crazy is that there's hardworking folks that can't afford to be losing 4 Walmarts in their community. But those hardworking folks probably voted in a lot of the policies that we are now seeing. You see that we're seeing this in Portland, seeing this in San Fran, see this in Seattle, and they keep voting for the same thing. It's literally the definition of crazy. It's like, Chicago, you just had the opportunity to get yourself a new mayor. I'm not saying that mayor would have been perfect, but they were a little bit more supportive of public safety of the police. So we've got safety measures, security measures that we've put in place by store location. I think local law enforcement being staffed and being a good partner is part of that equation. And that's normally how we approach it, McMillan said. That was followed in March 13th with the closure of Walmart's last remaining stores in Portland, Oregon, city that's been grappling with retail theft problems. Portland, Oregon no longer has any Walmarts within its incorporated city boundaries. They've got 45 of them outside in the neighboring communities, but 0 in incorporated Portland now. How's that going? Again, those residents, they voted in all the crap that ends up with this. Decriminalize drugs, defund the police, decriminalize crime. That's not a crime. Shoplifting, that's okay. And so it's created this perfect storm for these criminals to just keep doing it. And we haven't even talked about, district attorneys, and even if police do arrest folks for doing this crazy stuff, whether it's drugs or shoplifting or whatever, district attorneys in these cities have done such a piss poor job that even if you arrest them, it's a catch and release game, right? It's literally catch and release. Elon Musk just talked about that in a tweet, and he was saying, referencing it in with Bob Lee. He's the CEO of the tech company who got stabbed not too many days ago. And he basically bled out and died on the streets of San Francisco. 1 minute he's standing and then he plops over, and they've got it in video. on video, and he'd been stabbed 2:30 in the morning in San Francisco. We had the former fire commissioner, I think it was, fire official in San Francisco, get beat up by a bunch of homeless people out in front of his house that he was trying to shoo away. So these problems are systemic to these cities that have allowed it to happen. They've allowed it to happen. They've encouraged it to happen. It's like the petri dish of, things going sideways, and we're just watching it unfold. But the chain has announced the closure of well over a dozen stores across the country for poor performance. Last week, Walmart told hundreds of workers at 5 sites that fulfill e-commerce orders that they have 90 days to find jobs at other company locations. So if you're closing a bunch of stores, this is also one of those things that impacts the communities, because now you've got employees, not only just in the stores. Those folks, they'll try and, get them jobs elsewhere, but you can only have so many employees in a store, right? I mean, you only need so many. And if those stores are all open and still going, and you got the ones that are shut down, the employees from the ones that are shut down, well, you can probably fit some of them into the system, but you can't fit them all. And then you've got everybody in the whole supply chain distribution of all the goods that these stores need. Now, like we just read, you're going to need fewer jobs in that, part of the supply chain as well, because you don't have as many stores open in those areas. So they're going to shut it down, because now instead of 8 in Chicago, you got 4. You got 4 because of policies that you enacted, citizens of Chicago. How's that working out? Not working out that well. But you know what I think? I think it's going to be a long time until folks wake up and go, oh, interesting. Defunding the police wasn't the greatest concept ever. Yeah. Criminal activity rose, shootings rose, shoplifting rose, murders rose. Yeah. Gonna have to get back to you on that. I'm going to have a conversation with myself, and then we're going to have to think about it. We're going to have to reimagine and rethink our whole approach. I think that's what you're going to have. Meanwhile, Walmart's just shutting stores down willy-nilly, and other stores. Did a podcast, I think it was yesterday, about a pretty well-known kind of little 3-store chain of coffee shops in Portland. And the management and ownership said, we got to shut this one down, one right in downtown Portland, Oregon. And they basically said, yeah, we are not safe in this store. So it's gotten to the point where you either got massive amounts of shoplifting, or you've got huge safety issues, meaning, they don't feel safe. Management ownership doesn't feel safe having their employees there, doesn't feel safe having that store open for their consumers, which is the whole basis of a business. They shut one out of their 3 locations down because it was so bad. And they came right out and said, yeah, it's gotten really dangerous. Yeah. And one of the guys who worked at the shop in Portland, the coffee shop, he was a barista dude, whatever. He was like, yeah, I didn't really think that, de-escalation technique training at work was necessary. And yeah, it probably was. Something along those lines. It's like, if you're a barista in a coffee shop and you have to spend some time at work going through de-escalation training, maybe look at a map of where you are, kind of think that through and go, is it really all that safe here? The answer would be, well, management of this store certainly doesn't think so. And whether you've got safety issues here in these stores in Chicago, doesn't matter, because corporate shut them down. They're gone. Yeah. We're just like, we couldn't make it go. Corporate profitability. And yet Walmart is making how many $1 billion a year in profit? And yet there are some stores that can't make a profit. Interesting. Why is that? That's what we're kind of going through right now, right? We've seen all these store closures. We've had a big rash of them. And, stores do close and open back up, but the main theme in what we've seen in 2023 is stores closing in communities and cities where they've defunded the police, soft approach to crime, basically legalized drugs, basically legalized shoplifting, and then, defunded the police. The list goes on and on. And then folks are like, I don't get it. This store is always busy. The parking lot is always full. How come they're having to close it down? Well, because you can't stay open if you're not making money. Simple as that, right? Simple as that. But people don't want to recognize that. They don't. They just want to say, well, parking lot's always full and, cash registers are always full and I'm always shopping here and there's always a ton of people in the store. And you're like, yeah, that's right. But XYZ percentage of the goods goes right out the front door and, in loss. So there's that, right? There's that. Company made no mention of retail theft in the statement about the Chicago stores, but it acknowledged it made investments and worked with community leaders to try and stem losses to no avail. Over the years, we've tried many different strategies. We talked about that. Community and city leaders were supportive as Walmart met with them to look for solutions, Walmart said in the statement. There's no solutions for when too many of your goods walk out the front door. There's no solutions for when your store isn't safe, when your patrons aren't safe. There's no solutions for when you don't have enough foot traffic in your downtown core because people don't feel safe. They don't want to go there. They don't want, it's just not happening. So not all of these things are individually happening at every single location where a store gets shut down, but they're sure happening a lot in the stores that, have the multiple things I just walked through. Those are the stores that are being shut down consistently. And it's because they're not profitable and stores got to stay profitable. So no matter how much the community begs and, we're going to do a petition. We want to keep Walmart open in our community. Too late. They've already said, hey, you're going to shut it down. Unfortunately, those who can afford, you've got the elderly, you've got people that can't afford their own transportation. They got to take the bus, whatever. Those are the ones that are impacted the most by having a Walmart close in their community. Those are the ones that probably need to recognize how they voted and maybe look at something a little different, because moving forward, this isn't going to get any better if you keep doing that same thing, which is voting for the same politicians doing the same thing. That's the definition of crazy. So, will Walmart keep its other 4 stores, open in the city? That'll be interesting to watch, right? Is that going to happen? I don't know, but make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that when I do the story, like in a year, we closed 4 last year and we got to close the other 4 this year because, man, we are still not making any money here. Don't know. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for being here. I will catch up with you soon. Bye for now.